Hey guys, I just came back from watching the Justice League movie, and oh my god, this movie. Okay, so what's the story? Well, this movie takes place a couple of years later after Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, and if you may or may not remember the scene where Bruce had this vision about the apocalypse, you know? Well, okay. Well, the thing is, well, at the end of the movie, at the end of Batman v Superman, he chose to, well, he decided to build his own team of superheroes in case in the case of sad apocalypse happening. Okay, I'm sorry for tripping over my own words. It's this is completely improvised because I just came back from the movie theater just a couple of minutes ago. I drove like crazy on my bicycle to get back here right immediately because right now I just have the energy, the passion to talk about this movie. There ain't no better opportunity about that. Well, the thing is, in this movie, Batman and Wonder Woman are trying to recruit some other guys. You know, Barry Allen, aka The Flash, Cyborg, Aquaman, and well, they obviously get them all, but to prepare them from the big great enemy. What's the name of the enemy? Steppenwolf. And oh my god. Okay, so the team gets together and they're trying to fight back against Steppenwolf and his army. While they're also trying, while they may or may not try to revive Superman as well. Well, okay, so that's the story. Okay, judging from my reaction right here, you can probably tell that I really enjoyed this movie. And yes, I mean, you know, saying that I enjoyed it would be an understatement. I mean, that movie, it just blew my mind on so many levels. Like, oh my god. Like, okay, so let's talk about Justice League a little bit. Well, in the beginning, like, I mean, in the beginning, it's not just like they're taking it's not like Batman is just asking some of the other guys if they want to join and then they're in or something like that. No. At the very beginning, they actually tried to give some of the characters some focus. Like, we get some character depth, and my god, yeah, I think this movie managed to do a great job to flesh out each and every member of the Justice League. And like there's one scene where, like at the beginning, before Bruce Wayne gets Barry Allen, before Bruce Wayne convinces Barry Allen to become a member of the Justice League, we do get a bit of insight about his life, that he has some small-time jobs, and that he always, and we get a scene where he visit his father, and who's in prison for who, as most people know about Barry Allen's backstory, his father was falsely convicted for murdering Barry's mother, and well, we get a scene where Barry where Barry interacts with his father in prison, and it's pretty short, but in the same time it's very meaningful, and we do get, and there's actually some payoff for it in the end, like it's basically well, it's about Barry's father telling him that it wouldn't be the right thing for him to visit him in prison because he wants his son Barry to move on with his life, to fulfill his true potential, because of him being very talented. Well, I think and there's some great payoff for it in the end. Like, I think that was pretty well done. We also get a scene with Cyborg, who after the accident that most of you have probably seen in the short scene in Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. Well, he has to live alone not alone. He has to live with his father in an apartment, and he can not get outside because he's since Cyborg is the his real name. You know what his real name is, but you probably know what his real name is. I'm doing this out of the blue, so please have mercy on my soul. Well, he's declared dead, and his father tries his best to cover it up so that everything turns out to be fine. Well, it's okay. So as I've said, we get some story for Cyborg. Then we also get some scenes with Aquaman, who, as most of us know, is the king of Atlantis, and the scenes that we are getting with him throughout this movie are just amazing. I mean, Aquaman is probably one of my favorite characters in the movie. Maybe even the best character in this entire film. He was just as funny as he was badass, and and you know what? Barry Allen is probably my second favorite character. He's not as badass because, as you probably know, he's not the best fighter. He uses his speed in order to fight against crime and all the villainous characters that we get to see in this film. Well, my point is, Barry Allen is also next to Aquaman is also one of the more comical characters, and they both undoubtedly get the best lines. It's just great. Ben Affleck is badass. Is back. Is badass. He is back and badass. He is back as Batman, and his Batman was a lot more. He was a lot more he had a much more, had a much healthier, a much healthier attitude on life and everything that's going on. I mean, of course he was also scared because of Steppenwolf and everything else, but he had a more uplifting attitude in comparison to Batman v Superman because he still has this. He still has hope deep inside his heart, and because of that, he's much better. He's much better. He has a much more positive attitude on the world around him. Gal Gadot returned back as Wonder Woman, and she was just as amazing as she was in both Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice and, well, Wonder Woman. Because she is awesome. But she has, I mean, you know, back when it was announced that Gal Gadot would have been cast as Wonder Woman, you know, I was a little bit skeptical about that because, well, she was, well, before I knew anything about her, really, like, I didn't know much about her, I was a bit skeptical because, well, she has a very noticeable accent. Because, as we all know, she's from Israel, and, well, it's pretty noticeable, especially if you watch some of her interviews. However, she manages to keep her accent to a minimum, or maybe it's not even, it's barely audible if you even watch any of the movies. Like she was amazing. Like she was incredibly badass, just like with Batman v Superman and Wonder Woman. Like, that was absolutely great. And Ben Affleck as Batman, badass as always. And, well, so much for the characters. Okay, let's talk about everything. So much for the main good guys. Let's talk about... Alright, let's talk about the villains. There is one particular villain, and that is one particular villain, and that would be Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf, well, okay, so come to think about the personality now, well, he is not the most insightful villain ever. Like, he doesn't have, I mean, he wants to rule over the world, create his own dark universe. And, well, as to why he hates everything, like, that's not properly explained, but, you see, I don't really think that's quite necessary, because I think a villain that doesn't have that much of a clear motivation, I think that can always be balanced out due to how menacing they can be. And, oh boy, he truly was menacing. Like, you would not believe how intimidating he could be. Like, you really had the feeling that both Steppenwolf and his army, like, you really had the feeling that the world would come to an end. It was truly intense. And I have to say, he may not be the most insightful character, he may not be the most insightful villain ever, but he truly was, but you truly had the feeling that the world was in grave danger. And, you know, I think that's all that really matters. I mean, that's pretty much what a villain is supposed to be. Incredibly intimidating, like, That's at least how I see it. Well, anyway. So much for the characters. Now let's talk about the story itself. Well, some people were afraid that the story itself would be overcrowded. Like, that the story would end up being a mess due to the fact that there would be so many characters. However, I think this movie did a tremendous job at focusing on everything that they were supposed to focus on, and the things that were only kept short to a bare minimum. For example, the Amazonians. You know the people that Wonder Woman used to live with. Well, I think they were not. They were present in this movie, but not for too long. Which only for the beginning and only for the backstory. And okay, we get to the backstory. Soon, because that's also something I'll have to talk about. Well, as I said, they weren't there for very long, but there's definitely something that benefited this movie because, as I've said, most people were afraid that this movie would be overcrowded with characters, like that this movie would turn out to be an absolute mess. However, as I've said, they managed to balance it out just right. We get, as I've said, we get to learn something about the characters, how, for example, Batman and Wonder Woman have pretty much moved on after Superman's death, and I think, and next to the characters, the main plot thread about Steppenwolf interfering. It's pretty much about Steppenwolf trying to get those three MacGuffins, those so-called mudbugs. There are 3 of them, and he is trying to get them. And now we get to the backstory that I previously mentioned. Oh, there used to be a war where Steppenwolf was involved about the apocalypse, about the dark universe that was, or at least the dark earth that was almost created thanks to Steppenwolf. And well, there, as I've previously said, there were lots of characters involved. For one, the Amazonians, they were part of the backstory. Let's see. Well, some Amazonians, humans, and even loads of members from the Green Lantern. And you know what? I cannot wait until Green Lantern Corps is going to come out in a few years. I guess I think we have to wait like 3 to 4 years until Green Lantern Corps is coming out. Which is going to be a reboot, by the way, which I think is a great thing, because the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds, it wasn't the worst movie ever, but it wasn't. You know, if you want to talk about a movie that was a mess, the 2011 Green Lantern, Ryan Reynolds was a mess. I mean, credit where credit's due for Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he was just trying to do the best with everything he had. But, you know what? That is a story for another time. Well, Green Lantern and lots of other characters. You know, all those characters that we have seen in the trailers of Justice League. Well, for those who were afraid that this movie would be too overcrowded with characters, you know, that was pretty much the only part where all those characters appeared. That's it. Like it's not that we jumping back and forth between each and every one of those characters. Like, seriously, did you really thought that this happening? So yeah, this movie was not too overcrowded. It was not a mess. I called it. I call it in my video, and you know what, I think I do, and you know what, I think I should trust my instinct a lot more often. Well, anyway, well, okay, well, as we all know, Steppenwolf is trying to get all three. He's trying to get the Mother Box, all three of them, so that he can recreate the universe, the dark Earth that he tried to create several thousand years ago, that he tried to create ages ago. And well, I think they were all, and as the, right, also Atlanteans, they were also part of the backstory, because this pretty much leads to what I'm trying to say. The 3 boxes, they were put to 3 different places. They were put to 3 different places. The first one was brought to Atlantis. The second one was being put back to the Amazonians. I know, you know, the islands of the Amazonians. Sorry, as I've said, this is all improvised, so please don't blame me. And the third one was just, kept hidden by the humans, by regular humans and all. And okay, so I'm going to talk about the ending and everything else. Maybe I talk about it, maybe I don't. Maybe I do it in a separate video about the spoilers. But anyway, okay. So the story in itself, like I know I went on forever about the story, but it was pretty well executed. I mean, if you read the plot itself, you would think that it would turn out to be a mess, but no, it went on perfectly. And you know what? Some other people were also afraid that this would turn out to be like the Avengers, but this movie still has, and yeah, while there are certain parallels between the Avengers and, well, Justice League, for example, that several different superheroes are being brought together to fight against an evil force that is not from the Earth, but but this movie still brings its own original. I mean, it still has its own style that separates it strongly from the MCU. And you know what? This is something that I can always truly appreciate from the DCU, that they are not trying to go the Marvel route. Like, I mean, hell, even from what I can gather, even the MCU itself is not even trying to go the Marvel route itself. I mean, of course there are some Marvel movies that are still trying to make their movies a bit too formulaic, but I mean, with movies like, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy or Captain America Civil War, and who knows, maybe even the upcoming Justice League, the third Avengers movie. I mean, even those movies, they could all end up being, I mean, the last movie, I mean, the latter could definitely end up being truly intense and suspenseful. But, well, okay, this is not about the MCU. I will probably dedicate another video about that. Well, the Justice League. Well, this movie still has its own style to it. Still has its own style. Okay, my laptop randomly turned on. What's happening? Okay. Anyway, for example, there are still. This movie was definitely a lot more upbeat in comparison to Man of Steel. and well, Batman v Superman. Like this movie was definitely a lot more upbeat, but you know what? It doesn't really feel inconsistent to me. I mean, this is not just about. I mean, Man of Steel was about a more mature origin movie for Superman. I didn't love this movie because of. I didn't love Man of Steel because of how quote-unquote realistic it was. I loved that Man of Steel felt more mature. It treated its audience not like kids, it treated us like adults. This is what I pretty much loved about Man of Steel. Batman v Superman, especially the Ultimate Edition. This is also a movie that as I've said, Batman v Superman was definitely a lot darker than Man of Steel. However, it still ended up having more humor than Man of Steel, despite being darker, as I've even mentioned in one of my early videos. Which, again, I know it sounds kind of contradicting, but you know, this movie has found a way. It's probably because maybe of some black humor or something like that, and you know what, I probably dedicated another video to Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition, etc, etc. Well, with the Justice League, you know, it makes a lot more sense that this movie would be more upbeat in tone. I mean, this isn't just about Batman and Superman. This is about the Justice League, about each and every member, about Wonder Woman, about Cyborg, about Barry Allen, you know, Flash, about Aquaman. Like, of course, we have two characters who had a much darker backstory. I mean, even Wonder Woman too. I mean, Wonder Woman to a certain extent also has a dark backstory, but I think most of us will agree that the Wonder Woman movie was definitely more mature in tone not mature, more upbeat. It was more upbeat in tone than the previous installments, you know, in comparison to Batman v Superman, Man of Steel. But and you know, we didn't have a movie about Cyborg and Flash and Aquaman, but we'll soon get movies about Aquaman, Flash, and who knows, maybe even Cyborg too. I mean, anything could happen. Well, okay, the thing is, each and every one of those characters has their own individual quirks, and some of them are more serious, like Batman is definitely the comically serious one of the troop, and Aquaman, he's also he can also be pretty rough, but he's still pretty hysterical and, well, truly a true badass. Like, seriously, I loved each and every scene where Jason Momoa's Aquaman was in. I mean, he was just. I think they probably couldn't have chosen a better actor to play Aquaman. This is hands down the most badass Aquaman that I've ever seen. At least the live action ones, and I just. Yeah, what I was supposed to say, I just love this movie. Well, the tone, okay, but back about the tone of the movie, it doesn't really feel inconsistent because each and every one of those characters has their own quirks, and Batman, who's still pretty serious, who's just as serious as always, he is still, his seriousness is still played out humorously in this film, and it's pretty funny. Like, there's like one part where he gets like an argument with the other members of the Justice League, and then Cyborg tells him, "Hey, while you were acting like an asshole, I just figured out something." that was pretty funny. Well, other than that, so the story I mean, the way and the characters were all fun. The tone, the tone felt. Yeah, this movie was a lot. This movie had a lot of humorous moments, but it still kept its it still was serious when it needed to be just that. Like it didn't, like there's enough serious to it that wouldn't alienate the other DCEU fans, that this you know, like me, that Man of Steel and Batman v Superman had previously won over, so it's not gonna turn us off or anything. This movie, just like with Wonder Woman, also embraced the fact that this universe, that this is a universe where pretty much anything could happen. With Wonder Woman, we got gods. With this, and even with Man of Steel, I mean, Man of Steel, we also knew that Superman, Kal-El, was from another planet, from Krypton. We all know that. However, this movie, you really had the idea that doing that one backstory of Steppenwolf, that everything felt connected. Like on one side you got the Atlanteans, and on the other one you got the Green Lantern, then and the Amazonians, Zack, and of course Steppenwolf, who's from outer space or from another dimension or something like that. Like, it was just great. Like, I still love this movie. So, and okay, let's talk about the special effects. Like, the special effects were truly spectacular, were truly outstanding. Like, the special effects were great. I mean, it's not like it blew my mind or anything. Or let's just say it depended on the scenes. Like, the special effects were all pretty well done. It's not, I mean, there weren't like the best special effects ever. Like, I mean, I can't barely tell which movie had the best effects ever. But anyway, my point is, they were still pretty good. They were still great. But you know what? I'm not watching the movies. I'm not watching movies for the special effects anyway. The action also just great. I couldn't barely remember any scene. Where the fighting wasn't where the fight choreographies weren't quite as great. I mean, except for maybe some fight scenes that involve Barry Allen. But even that is pretty much justified due to the fact that, as you know, as the Flash pointed out himself, he doesn't really have any experience with fighting. He pretty much just pushes the bad guys away. That's pretty much what his fighting skills are all about. Which again, so in that case, it's pretty much justified. The music was also, well, the music wasn't the most memorable aspect, except for, of course, the cover version of "Come Together," which we all probably heard from the trailers. This was also played in the end credits, and it's pretty awesome. However, music not being memorable is not necessarily a bad thing, because that pretty much means that it just blends in within the scenes, which is definitely great. We also got some, and besides, we also got the Wonder Woman theme, so there are some memorable tracks. For the most part, the music blends in within the scenes, so in other words, it pretty much does its job perfectly. And, well, okay. Is there something else to talk about? Facts thing. Well, other than that, that's pretty much it. Justice League overall, absolutely amazing, and this was not amazing, was truly spectacular. And you know what? I'm just gonna say something that's may or may not make people angry. I don't know, but quite frankly, I don't care. I just gonna go far enough to say that Justice League was better than the Avengers. And you know what? I'm not even trying to diss or offend the Avengers, because I love the Avengers, but this movie, like, I think that the story itself was a lot more deep and insightful, and while I love the Avengers had a much more, a story that was a lot more basic, a lot more simple. It's about a bad guy, you know, Loki trying to take over Earth and anything, and then the Avengers have to stop him. I mean, something similar happened. I mean, that is something that this movie has slightly in common with. I mean, Justice League has this a little bit in common with the Avengers, you know, with Steppenwolf, but you could clearly see that their focus is in different places, because we do have, well, it's a bit hard to explain, but I do get the feeling that there is a lot more depth and insight, like, not only with the characters, but also with the overall conflict. Like, with the Avengers, you didn't really have a feeling that the world would come to an end. With the Justice League, you really had, this feeling would really come. Like, you would really feel that the world would come to an end. And you know what? This is what, if it comes to superhero movies, action movies, and anything that involves about a particular threat, you should actually, you as the audience should actually feel like, intimidated by anything that's going on screen. You should not like take a look at your watch and then wait until they get saved in the end. Like, it should actually feel like this could possibly be the end. And you know what? Overall, the Justice League was truly amazing. Like, I did not read any reviews or anything. I went there completely with an open mind, and what I got was something truly special. I loved it. I cannot wait until this movie finally gets out on Blu-ray. This movie will definitely be part of my collection once it gets its home release. And you know what? That's it. That's all I have to say. I know I went on for forever, but you know what? I just had the right amount of passion to talk about this movie. And if I was mumbling around and constantly repeating myself just to get my point across, let me tell you, that was definitely worth it. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this review. To anyone who is looking forward to the Justice League film, let me just tell you, it was worth the wait. Go check it out. You're going to love it.